Hello, and all. Welcome to another episode of MMA Vision Analysis. This one, we're talking about the feud going on between none other than Khamzat Chimaev and champion of that middleweight division, Dricus. Interesting back and forth. Kind of funny, in all honesty. We're going to get into that a little bit more. But before getting started, make sure to like, subscribe, click that notification to get all it is that is new from this channel, your channel, the one and only MMA Vision Analysis. Khamzat Chimaev has a fight set, UFC 308, against a Robert Whitaker, potentially number one contender matchup. Obviously, winner of that fight gets to face champion of the division, perhaps sometime 2025. Currently, obviously, Dricus is the champion. Dricus is set to face Sean Strickland for their rematch, which is obviously a title fight. So whoever wins that match gets to face the winner of Khamzat Chimaev, Robert Whitaker. If that fight actually happens, I do understand that we talked about that fight on this channel a little bit, and we talked about the potential of Khamzat Chimaev not making it to that fight, and there are reasons. We're not going to go into that in all honesty, but the record is clearly evident. The guy has been having health issues all year. He missed his last fight that was supposed to happen in Saudi Arabia against his 308 opponent, Robert Whitaker, obviously. Whitaker went on to fight somebody else. Khamzat Chimaev never showed up. Photos surfacing of him a few months back, it did not look too good. It seems like he was dealing with illnesses. Respiratory issues. Allegedly, he did not make the fight against Robert Whitaker in Saudi Arabia due to the climate in the Middle East, something to the effect of dry air. The record, it's all out there, all right? You just got to do a little bit of your research. I wish the guy the best. I obviously, I think that Khamzat Chimaev could be the face of the company, but the guy has to fight, and he has to make use of his time in order for him to do that. Valuable time is slipping by, and it's not really up to him. Obviously, he's dealing with some sort of health issue. Last we heard, it had something to do with his respiratory system or some kind of, I don't know, but the record is clearly out there. The guy clearly pulled out of his last fight against the same opponent, Robert Whitaker, and the reason that time was some kind of respiratory issue, dry air, training in the Middle East. Allegedly, the camp was moved to the Caucasus Mountains. It's all out there. But speaking of Khamzat Chimaev, obviously, as it stands, the fight is still on. Do you understand? Don't get mad at me. Don't bite me. The fight's still there. It's still right. But I can't believe anything until the two fighters are inside of the octagon. That's just me. Call it whatever you want. But the guy has had a track record of not making fights as of late. And it's not to his own wrongdoing. It's just the guy's been dealing with health issues. I wish him the best. I wish the fight against Robert Whitaker, UFC 308, actually happens, takes place, because it's important for the division. Obviously, Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus have had not really a back and forth from Khamzat Chimaev's side. Khamzat Chimaev said that stylistically he's similar to Dricus, only something to the effect that he's better than Dricus. Dricus replies something along the lines of put a shirt on before you catch a cold and miss a fight. Something along those lines. So the guy, and his illness is a target for mockery at this point from other fighters in the division. In all honesty, like I said, I wish the fight night of UFC 3 obviously happens. It's still scheduled. Nothing's off yet, right? But for me, I'm not going to believe anything, especially with Khamzat Chimaev, until the two fighters are inside of the octagon. That's just me. But moving forward, this is going to make things a little bit interesting, right? Say that Khamzat makes it to the fight, even though there is no overlooking Robert Whitaker. Robert Whitaker obviously is a former middleweight champion, right? He's facing a guy that's stepping up in weight, and a guy that's, Khamzat Chimaev has looked shaky in his last few fights. Let's say Gilbert Burns, Kamaru Usman. Gilbert Burns made Khamzat Chimaev look like a regular fighter in moments. So there's that. Robert Whitaker can copy straight out of Gilbert Burns' game plan and perhaps be more successful. I look at Robert Whitaker as being the more clinical striker and obviously former middleweight champion here. So it's going to be a real task for Khamzat Chimaev if he makes it night of UFC 308. Obviously, I wish everybody the best. And I'm super intrigued to see what happens with this somewhat of a feud that's going on between Dricus and Khamzat Chimaev. This only makes things more interesting if Khamzat is able to make it night of UFC 308 and actually defeat Whitaker. And if Dricus defeats Strickland, then these two are perhaps destined to face each other. Will this happen? Only time will tell. I'm no fortune teller here, but let's see what happens. If you made it this far, I appreciate you for sticking around. Please let me know in the comments and like, subscribe for more.